Good morning, Lilliana and Joseph. How are you guys doing today?
Good. How are you, Errol?
Absolutely fantastic. I am so glad that you guys are bringing this podcast forward because we're there. It's time. It's time that we hear the real stories and we're not getting the magazine articles. And you guys are really defining what an icon is in 2023, especially since we're living in this TikTok world.
It's true. And, we're jumping in right from the beginning of Bad Bunny being a grocery bagger, even wearing his mom's dresses, which inspire his fashion now, and including J-Lo from being a fly girl to now getting married to Ben. So it's back and forth, and we're ready to tell the story.
I'm not shocked that Bad Bunny was a bagger. And the reason why is because where does conversation begin? But right there at that grocery store, talking with every person on the planet about anything. So for Bad Bunny to be as popular as he is right now, it's amazing.
It really is. I mean, I don't know, as somebody who really does follow a lot of music and is passionate about the artists that we cover, I don't know that somebody has had that cultural impact and the trajectory that somebody like Bad Bunny has had. And remember, he's only singing in Spanish. I think one of the things that we talk about a lot in this podcast is the idea of a crossover. One of our icons is Ricky Martin, Shakira, another icon. And a lot of them have had to follow that traditional industry crossover path, which is you hit it really big in Latin America, and then you do the English album so that you can be kind of transformed into this dual language pop star. But Bad Bunny is the first one to really break that mold and say, you know what? I'm not going to do it in English. I'm going to do it in Spanish. It's important to me. It's my identity. It's who I am. And then to see him have the level of success that he has had with Spanish language albums globally is just incredible. I mean, that's why we kicked off becoming an icon with him, because we thought, a lot of people have done it, but nobody has done it quite like Bad Bunny.
I'm going to add to your story because I DJ'd a celebration this past Friday night at a Greek school. Guess who was number one requested? Bad Bunny. A Greek school.
See, I love that. I mean, Joseph and I talk about this all the time. We grew up, of course, speaking Spanish in our household. I'm Mexican and Puerto Rican. Joseph is Mexican. And so we're familiar listening to both Spanish and English music. But when I talk to my friends that aren't Spanish speakers, that didn't grow up in that same household, and they're now listening to Bad Bunny in their homes, I'm like, wait a second, what? People fall in love with the sound and with the way music makes you feel, and Bad Bunny just makes you feel a certain way.
Yeah, you talk about with Bad Bunny doing making sure that he stays 100% Latin music, but at the same time, I see that Bad Bunny is also the next Mark Anthony, the next Ricky, because it's there the success, and I think it's going to go further than that because he stays so authentic.
True. It's so true. And, when you're saying Ricky Martin and Mark Anthony, they both sang like really nice, like ballads and stuff like that. And the cool thing about Bad Bunny is that he has reggaeton. He has all of the beats, and he does really have the soft songs that you can kind of sing and jam to, like Mark Anthony, but not with such a vibrato. But, they each have a very unique sound, and Bad Bunny is definitely there with them.
Oh, my God. You bring up reggaeton, and that's the style of music that most parents, when I do weddings and stuff, they say, don't do that till the fourth hour. Do not bring in reggaeton.
Wait, see, I don't understand. I think you kick off the party with reggaeton. A lot of people, I think, are discovering reggaeton thanks to Bad Bunny, thanks to artists like J Balvin and Karol G, and old school artists like, Daddy Yankee. But, we've known the power of reggaeton to get people out of their seats on a dance floor. I mean, this is party music. That's what reggaeton is. And I don't know why people would wait till the fourth hour. Like, you want to start the party with that.
Now, one of the things that I love about your podcast is that there are no lines. And the reason why I bring that up, because I had a friend, his name was Al, and Al used to tell me all the time, if I went into a salsa, or if I talked about something that was going on in Mexico versus other parts of the Central America, he would say, no, we don't go there. And it's like, this right here is erasing those lines, and you're sharing the full stories of all people.
100%. We're sharing the tragedies, we're sharing what they went through, and how it also reflects in some of the music where, for some people who don't know, for example, here in the States, we're like, oh, these Bad Bunny songs are great. But when you really dissect and listen to the words of what he's saying, some of the songs he's saying, Estamos bien, he's saying, we're okay when the hurricane hit. So it's also really political, and it means a lot when you're there.
When you've got someone even like Jennifer Lopez, which you guys are going to put focus on, and that is, I mean, so many times that she's been branded Jenny on the block. There is so much more to this woman, what she does with her family, as well as what she does in the community.
Well, absolutely. And I think that Jennifer Lopez is one of those icons. When we sat down to really chart her career, we thought, how are we ever going to be able to tell her story in just 1 or 2 episodes? And the answer is we couldn't. You know, you're talking about somebody that's like a quadruple threat. I mean, she's an incredible singer. She's an incredible dancer. She's an actor. She's an entrepreneur. She's a philanthropist. She's a mother. She headlined the Super Bowl. And so we delivered 6 episodes just on Jennifer Lopez, because when you're trying to sum up this career in 1 or 2, you just can't. And I think that's what's so fun about this podcast is, yes, we are giving you the highs, we are giving you the mediums, and we are giving you the lows because we want you to get the full story. And what's also really special about becoming an icon is that there's not a show like this out there right now. There's a ton of shows that, you know, give interviews with these celebrities, but those are run through their PR machines. We're really going back and deep diving and telling you their story almost as this really fun, colorful narrative. You know, I always say the podcast is very similar to Behind the Music on VH1 back from the 90s. But thanks to Joseph and I, it's got a lot of sass, it's got a lot of opinion, and you're going to learn a lot. My favorite podcasts are the podcasts when the podcast ends, I get on my computer and start Googling things about what I just heard. And that's what this podcast inspires you to do. As soon as it's done, you want more. And thankfully, we've got 36 episodes for you, but you also want to do your own research. And it takes you down memory lane in a way that just really feels so much fun and is really rooted in that deep nostalgia that I think connects us all as fans of music and fans of these icons.
Well, I love the fact that you do stretch out the episodes, because there are 3 on there with Bad Bunny. Like you said, J-Lo was 6, because I want to be able to digest it in my own space and time. And you give us that opportunity to breathe. Where did that format come from? Are you from radio? Because it's always one thought at a time. You know, regular people just podcasting don't think of things like this.
You go, Lilliana.
Well, you're so kind. Thank you. We take so much pride in, you know, hosting this show. Really, honestly, as fans of music, you know, Joseph is an incredible celebrity makeup artist. So he's had the privilege of working on a lot of, you know, these people are being very close to them. You know, I come from the entertainment news world. I've spent the last decade interviewing them on red carpets, at press junkets, and thinking, you know, there's more to this story. And also, I'm a fan of podcasts. I listened to podcasts for years religiously before I ever thought that I could take a stab at it. And I think what happened was I thought, what's missing from this space? How do I want to hear stories about the people that I love, whether they're fashion designers, whether they're, you know, politicians, whether they're musicians? And I thought, this is the way that I want to digest a story. I want to take my time with it. I want it to marinate. And thankfully, the podcast space gives us time to do that. So we were really, really thoughtful with iHeart and how we presented this idea to listeners. Because listen, I'll be the first to say this, the last thing the world needs is another podcast, unless it's doing something really unique in the space. And that's what Becoming an Icon is doing. We are really focusing on their careers, not just in front of the camera, not just on stage, but also behind the scenes. What are they doing in politics? What are they doing as advocates of their community? And giving you a real 360 insight into who these people truly are.
I mean, I remember sitting down, having the conversation with iHeart, unveiling the ideas and stuff, and I'll never forget their first initial reaction. It was like, okay, I don't understand what you're doing. Just don't stop. Did you guys have a conversation like that?
We have, right, Joseph?
We yes. I mean,
sure. I was saying, you know, we have. I think one of the best things that you can have as you are promoting a podcast and, you know, going in day out, researching, writing, is the support of somebody like iHeart. They get it. They understand who their listeners are, and they're so incredibly open to our ideas. I mean, one of the crazy ideas we had was, you know, with this incredible list of icons, right? You've got Ricky Martin, Shakira, Lin-Manuel Miranda, Jennifer Lopez, and of course, Bad Bunny. Joseph and I went and said to them, we had to kind of pitch Bad Bunny as the opener to the show because, you know, a lot of people, I think, thought, well, you know, you should start with somebody that everybody knows, that everyone has a ton of history with, like a Jennifer Lopez or like a Ricky Martin. And we said, you know what? We want to take the pulse of what's happening right now in the industry. This podcast is about music, and there's no bigger, badder name right now than Bad Bunny. And they said, you know what, if you guys are this passionate about him in this moment, let's do it. And it's been incredible to have their support. And they're just the best. And we just feel so lucky and fortunate to be able to have this be our job. Like we get to, even today, we're recording more episodes about Shakira. And I thought, how is this my job? I was watching Shakira videos last night for research. And I'm like, I'm literally living the dream.
You know, you bring up Shakira, and I guarantee you 99% of the people don't understand why she's been in the headlines lately. I don't understand it. I research. I just know that you guys are going to break down the story, and that beautiful woman is going to come out on top.
Oh my gosh, no question about that. I think that's been one of the best parts about being able to do this podcast is like, we are not leaving anything out. I mean, there has been a ton of tabloid fodder about the demise of her relationship, about, you know, the allegations of tax evasion in Spain. And Joseph is not afraid to go there.
I dig in, I spill the tea. Also, you know, the thing about her music is, if you listen to the lyrics or get it translated, she kind of tells you the story. So really kind of listen to it and translate it, and you're just, the scoop that she gives you is all there in her music.
Joseph, one of the things that to be you, I mean, when you're putting makeup on or you're working with makeup, I mean, you're there in their moment of being raw. You hear stories. How do you keep those stories tucked away in your heart in the way you're going, I can talk about this? No, I should not talk about this.
Well, it comes to a place where you come to a place where when you're in the business for as long as I've been, listening to women, I've been doing makeup for over 20 years. So listening to women, knowing when it's gossip just because it's fun gossip and it's gossip like tax evasion is serious. That's not what I heard, but I'm just giving an idea. You just know what you can spill and what you can't. So it's more so you just want to protect everyone. Like you say, you spill the tea about stuff you want people to spill about you. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It absolutely does, because, you know, you have those moments, and even though I may save a conversation that took place, I'll go in there and edit the hell out of that conversation because people don't need to know what really took place.
Yeah, and you know what? Juicy.
It is. You got to make it juicy. But I also think, you know, what's so special about us as a co-host combo is, you know, Joseph has the knowledge and these intimate moments. And, you know, I've been covering entertainment news for over a decade now. And so it's really about understanding how to tell that story in a way that's still respectful of all the parties involved. Because at the end of the day, these people are moms, they're dads, they have families, there's brothers, there's sisters. And listen, I love a headline, and I know the inner workings of the celebrity PR machine. So I know that when things get leaked or things are out there, there's a reason for it. If these secrets needed to stay guarded, trust me, they would. So when you see things that become, you know, a headline in a tabloid, or you see them on page 6, or, you know, your best friend's telling you about it, you know, while you guys are out for drinks at brunch, there's a reason that we're talking about it. It's a machine behind the scenes. Don't underestimate the power of PR.
Oh yeah, because when I see a story that I find a little bit difficult to believe, the first thing I do is I say, clickbait. This is not true. It's not happening.
Exactly.
How hard is it to land the conversation? Because, you know, we all have these dreams of who we want to talk with, but to get to that person, it means a lot of questions and a lot of kissing babies and shaking hands.
Oh my gosh, I think it's so hard. You know, I think one of the things that really unifies all of these icons, aside from the fact that, you know, they are household names, is I think they are all so honest and humble in their start and their beginnings. And you see that authenticity. And I think, you know, we talk about transcending fame to icon status. There has to be something that is still accessible about you. People have to look at you on that stage and see some part of them. They have to hear some part of them in your lyric. They have to see some part of them in you, because that's ultimately what icon status is about, right? It's about establishing a connection that doesn't go away just because you are this like multi-hyphenate powerhouse that is, you know, like a billionaire or a millionaire that has access to like everything you could ever want in the world. There's still some layer of authenticity and accessibility. And that's what we love tapping into. Like, why? why is Jennifer Lopez, why is she still that fly girl? Like, why is she still the girl from the Bronx? And uncovering that and exploring that, I think, is the secret and the key to her longevity in this industry. When
you talk about them being real, I mean, there's a shock level sometimes when you get to see their real selves. And I'm going to give you a really weird example. For instance, like I'm blessed with the opportunity to talk with a lot of Latin professional wrestlers, and you see them on TV, rah, 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 and then when you get them on the phone, hey, dude, what's up? And you're going, oh my God.
Oh yeah, that's part of the persona that they have to. I worked very closely with a starlet, and I could say her name because her personality is so different. I worked with, for example, Paris Hilton for a long time, and she is not what people thought, and everyone's like, oh, she's this, she's that. And when she came out and said all of the stuff that's going on now, it's like you get to there's a real side to them. So when it comes to like J-Lo and Bad Bunny, we're like, oh yeah, Bad Bunny, the reggaetonero, and then he's doing stuff like speaking on trans lives, or J-Lo, she I can't think of right now what J-Lo does because I was thinking of Bad Bunny. They're real, they're genuine, they have always wanted to help, and from the start.
Do you guys ever sit in the studio or even when you're driving in the car and you think, you know what, when it really comes down to it, becoming an icon, this is the new inside sleeve of an album?
I love that. Like, it's so funny. You're the second person that has told me that said that in regards to like this podcast sounding or feeling like album notes.
Yes.
And that's actually such a great way to describe what this is. And, for the kids listening that don't remember album notes or that maybe never opened a CD, and like who can forget the like fresh crack of a new CD? Album notes are really kind of like the behind the music piece, right? They're the storytelling notes that go along with each of the songs. And that's kind of what we're doing. We're letting you know, when this particular album that Shakira wrote came out, this is what was really happening in her life. And you see those moments in her life reflected in her lyrics. One of the things that we talk about was one of her first albums that I think really gained her the kind of notoriety that we know Shakira for in her early days, which is Donde Están los Ladrones, right? Where are the thieves? Mm-hmm. Well, the reason she named the album that is because her songwriting book was actually stolen from her at an airport in Colombia. Every word that she had written, every soul, every note that she had written down for this album was actually stolen from her. They never found it. And all of that got channeled into this album. So we take you back to Shakira being in that airport with the reward out, looking for this album, desperate for her book. And ultimately that became one of the albums that propelled her to global success.
One of the things, and a story that I'm sure listeners have forgotten, but it was so real, is the way that Justin Bieber was his fans were booing him because he couldn't do Despacito on a live stage. He didn't know the words. I mean, I see a lot of that happening, but I also see a lot of American artists taking up Spanish and learning how to put it into the music. And it's going to take shows like Becoming an Icon to open that platform.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, artists like Coldplay have been covering Spanish songs for years now. And it's incredible. And I think, as we become more connected globally through streaming, what you start to see is these musical boundaries break down, because Latin music isn't Latin music anymore. Right. It's just music. And no longer are we saying, oh, I can't listen to that album because it's in Spanish, or I can't listen to that album because it's in Korean. Yes. It doesn't matter anymore. I think we can all agree as fans of music that music is a feeling. As Bad Bunny says, it's a vibe. It doesn't have to be your native language for you to understand it or feel it. And that's why we're so proud as Latinos to be hosting this podcast, because a lot of people, I think, came to Joseph and I and were like, oh, that's so cool. You guys are doing a show about Latin artists, for Latinos. And we thought, well, no, we're doing a show about musical icons for people that love music. So do you love music? Because if you love music, you want to listen to Becoming an Icon.
Joseph, there's got to be a spinoff coming up here somewhere in your heart that if you're going to do music, you've got to do acting. There's a lot of Latin actors that we don't know anything about except for what's in those pages.
You know what? And I know that it's coming and coming soon.
Good.
I love that.
There's the cliffhanger.
There you go.
Please come back to this show anytime in the future. The door is always going to be open for the two of you.
Thank you so much,
Arrow, you're so kind. Thank you.
Well, you be brilliant today, okay?
You too.
Okay, bye-bye.